All right, welcome to the Patriot Hour for Monday, September 2nd, Labor Day. Hope everyone's enjoying their possibly day off. Get back to your work schedules tomorrow if you're working the typical Monday to Friday, but being that it's a holiday, Labor Day, you're probably enjoying it at home with family. So we're going to bring you some tidbits of information here, folks. Here it is Monday morning. What's going on? We got the Hurricane Dorian slamming into the Bahamas. Unfortunate. We'll get into that here in a little bit, do some updates on that. I wanted to jump into a former fired FBI director by the name of Jim Comey, right? This self-righteous crusader that went above all norms and did all kinds of extraordinary, idiotic things. Did a speech or came out publicly to talk about Hillary and freed her. Leaked memos and did things as a director should never do. Memos or not, things that were classified or secret, the lowest level of intelligence, scheduling, or how they would rate something. But he leaked them to a buddy in the hopes of creating a special counsel, which we know happened. I mean, that was political games being played by this self-righteous crusader. Sharing memos for political gain, for everyone's like, well, he's a Republican, but he switched really quickly to the Democratic side. Who does that? In the flip, I don't like Trump no more, I'm going to switch to the other side. And it's like, well, even before Trump, that's the funniest thing, folks. These people have been around for 30 years. The Clintons and the Bushes and the Comeys, I mean, they've been around for years and years. You can go back and see them in other little facets. Most of these politicians have just been around forever. But it's funny how half the world thinks that it's all Trump's fault. In 2 years, he's come in, had nothing to do with anything before he was president, and the world's problems are his. He's created them. He's made laws and stuff on the books that people just can't stand. He's enforcing laws that have been on the books. But that's how they look at it. He's the one. Why is he messing with the border and trying to get it all sovereign down there? Well, that's what the laws are. He's just trying to uphold them. Nobody else was. Nobody had an issue with that. That's what's funny about the whole thing. 2 years in, I mean, you had Comey clearly break all kinds of rules and laws for the FBI standards, disgraced the whole department. People are upset with them within the rank and file of the FBI and the Justice Department. But the former FBI Assistant Director, Comey, the worst is still yet to come for this guy. Yes, indeed. Rest assured, folks, I shit you not. It's gonna be epic. So again, if you're new to the channel, make sure you're subscribed here at the Patriot Hour. Share all videos across your social media platforms while you can. Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Okay, so here we go again. James Comey in the woods, staring at very big trees that can just stomp on him. So fired FBI director still not out of the woods yet. It's a great photo. As reported earlier, he is still facing scrutiny in at least 2 other investigations. So, and former FBI Assistant Director Kevin Brock says the worst is still to come for the narcissist James Comey. The Hill has reported. Next up will be the IG's findings regarding James Comey's truthfulness before the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, the FISA courts, and whether he attested to false or misleading statements in order to electronically monitor a presidential campaign. That determination may not be as cut and dry as many think it is, but it is hopeful at a minimum. We'll explain why Comey believed he could sign off multiple times on a FISA application based largely on information that he himself described as salacious and unverified. His exposure here is potentially much more devastating than breaking FBI record retention and handling rules. Close behind the IG's second report will be findings by the U.S. Attorney John Durham, whether Comey and his rogue team of investigators violated FBI and departmental guidelines to initiate a counterintelligence investigation into a presidential campaign that would determine if Comey had adequate justification for launching such an unprecedented investigation. Beyond that, Mr. Durham and his team likely will follow up on the emerging indicators that Comey may have colluded with other intelligence community leaders to actually manufacture the justification needed for an investigation by targeting covert informants against campaign representatives in violation of established policies and procedures. In short, James Comey is not out of the woods after the first IG report, which has exposed him as someone who casually and carelessly disregarded established rules and regulations. It is not a stretch to imagine that this disregard carried over into another more serious areas of potential abuse of authority. So this goes to play into exactly what we said, folks. The little leak of the memo, not that it's, unforgiven or something that we shouldn't care about, but that there was no charges brought forth. Everyone's like, man, they're not going to. That's because it's too little. It's one of the 15 crimes. They're going to charge him with 13 of these other ones, but not these other two. So they publicly come out. He took it as, please tell me sorry. I did not get charged, but the crime's there, clearly. So I think that was just another little funny little thing for to go another week or two. People, the media, all of them are getting trolled. They'll have to be eating their words again. It's just another, they're not reporting on the fact like, yeah, he really did. CNN, they're like, well, here we go again. Comey's not getting charged. People said this, but it's like clearly right there. Whereas the other way with Trump, there's nothing in there, but people still want to go on with further investigations. Well, in my gut, it tells me, I don't think they did something here. It doesn't say nothing, but so it's funny how they work. You see the hypocrisy at its finest, working in its all of its glory with these people. So we will keep following along on that. I do have, I think, another little Comey one here I wanted to look at. So let me look here. Go back one. Right here with Greg Jarrett. He does some decent work. So Greg Jarrett, Comey was not a whistleblower. His motive was not transparency, but to trigger a special counsel. That was his main motive. So Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett pushed back on claims that former FBI Director James Comey was a heroic whistleblower when he leaked his memos to his lawyer. Washington, D.C. swamp attorney Bradley Moss attacked Trump for quoting Greg Jarrett's claims that Comey could have been charged with theft of government documents for keeping the classified memos in his personal safe in his home rather than a SCIF, sensitive compartmented information facility. So Bradley Moss questioned Greg Jarrett's legal expertise. If Greg Jarrett was a real lawyer, he would know that the DOJ Criminal Resource Manual rejects applying 18 U.S. 641 in a situation like the one involving Comey, Bradley Moss said. Wrong. If Greg Jarrett was a real lawyer, he would know the DOJ Resource Manual rejects applying 18 U.S.C. 641 in a situation like the one involving Comey. They could have charged Comey with theft of government documents, 641 of the Criminal Code, because the IG found these were not personal documents. These were government documents. At Greg Jarrett, Comey's claims that these were just his own personal recollections would have not, been able to get him out of it. So Greg Jarrett responded and stated that Comey is not a whistleblower because his motive was not transparency, but rather to trigger a special counsel. Bradley Moss is mistaken. Comey is not a whistleblower. His motive was not transparency, but to trigger a special counsel. And memo 2 that he leaked to his lawyer was classified. All of this is in the IG report. Thus, an 18 USC 641 could have been brought. Greg Jarrett said, pushing back on the D.C. area attorney Bradley Moss' assertion that Comey was a whistleblower. Bradley Moss is mistaken. Comey was not a whistleblower. His motive was not transparency, but it was to trigger a special counsel. There's his motive. And memo 2 that he leaked to his lawyers was classified. All of this is in the IG report. Thus, an 18 U.S.C. 641 charge could have been brought. Jarrett hit the swamp lawyer one more time. Mr. Moss is free to disagree with me. Lawyers disagree with one another all the time, but reducing it to a personal attack that I'm not a real lawyer diminishes both his argument and himself, Jarrett said. So the former director of national intelligence and Comey's partner in crime, James Clapper, also called Comey a heroic whistleblower in the wake of the DOJ IG report. Comey is a corrupt leaker, not a heroic whistleblower. According to the Inspector General's report, Comey used a personal scanner, personal computer, and private email to transmit 4 memos to his attorney. 2 of the 4 memos contained classified information, and Comey did not receive authorization from the FBI to transmit the memos to his lawyer. Now, folks, personal scanners, I mean, you have the office scanner, right? And sometimes some of you have worked in offices that have huge printers that are the size halfway up the wall, and these things costed $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000. You'd rent them from companies or you'd buy them, but man, they were huge. Those have hard drives in the backs of them. You know, they're used at the BMVs or these other. Those capture every single photo. They're stored. There's a way to get to those. That's why when these printers get thrown out, you can tear them apart and you'll find little hard drives. Sometimes not big. They're just big enough to keep things temporarily, images that can be accessed by computer experts and analysts that have the software to do so. So that's why it's in the government with their rules and stuff. It's all been thought out. Even places like a DMV, they don't just typically throw the printers away in the trash. I mean, years ago that was the case. People would come along, grab these printers, tear out the hard drives, analyze the hard drives, and find all the photos that were taken throughout time, little captures of them, and be able to access them. And then you'd see things from within the office. You know, people do funny things on the printers or hands, or they're sit on them with their butts, I mean, all that funny stuff. You'd see all of this over time. So just that alone, Comey knows this, but, it doesn't pertain to him. He acted like, wow, this was my own personal stuff. Well, it seems like all the experts are saying that it's not, Comey. And he's like, wow, they're just wrong. We all differ on our opinions. That's how he likes to talk. He's the smartest one in the room. He's the one that's never wrong. Everyone else doesn't understand him or doesn't see it in his light or doesn't stand in his shoes to look at it. That's how he acts. So Comey kept the classified memos in his personal safe in his home. His Trump-hating wife had access to the safe, and the FBI had to go to his home 1 month after he was fired to retrieve the memos. Comey told investigators that he viewed his memos as his personal property and his personal memoirs rather than government property. Comey was wrong. All of those memos he drafted memorizing his conversations with President Trump belong to the government. Comey also took pictures of one of his memos, in memo number 4, and text messaged it to his friend turned lawyer, turned Trump unpaid FBI official Daniel Richman to leak to the New York Times in order to prompt a special counsel. One day after the New York Times published an article about General Flynn based off the leaked memo, Rosenstein appointed Mueller as a special counsel, and a 2-year Trump-Russia hunt ensued. Comey could have been charged with many different crimes, but AG Barr declined prosecution. Now ask yourself, why? Even though this seems really huge and they could have slammed him, why did they not charge him? Because, folks, if you've been following along like myself or anyone else, and you understand the crimes that Comey has truly committed, and you put those crimes in order of worst to least, you're going to come back on this being the least. This was just a thing that he did to start the prosecution. So these memos. I mean, you go to a court, all this, they're saying this would amount to maybe 6 months in jail or 2 years probation. It's nothing compared to you move forward within what happened a little bit also before this, after this. He had to go to the FISA courts. What did they hide? What did they hold back? This is leading into treasonous, seditionous, treason activities. So it's coming. Not out of the woods yet. All right, we're going to shut this one down. We're right at our mark. Like to keep them short and sweet at the 16-minute mark as of right now. So again, folks, we appreciate everything, all of you being here. Again, all the links are down below. Take a look in the comment section. Some of the greatest patriots around the planet right here, part of the Patriot Hour. Some of the greatest patriots I've ever met in my life. They'll lead you in different directions. The chat, the conversations are great. We've had episodes based off topics. All right, that's why I myself personally scan the comment section and try to respond back as much as I can and take a look. Other than that, all the links are in the description box below. Make sure you find our backup channel, the Patriot Tech. We go live over there and do all kinds of great things. So we appreciate it. God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you back here on the next Patriot Hour update video coming here real soon, right here. You guys have a great morning into your afternoon, and we'll see you back here on the next Patriot Hour update. God bless.